It has taken me a long time to sit down and just tell this story, or just to introduce this story, if you will. And yeah, it is because I am dealing with the stigma of mental health. I am judging myself for having the struggle, the honest struggle in my life with depression and anxiety, having the fact that I have to deal with deep-rooted trauma that expresses itself in this chronic condition that I've been diagnosed with called complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I did not always know that this was the case with me. Before this diagnosis, I had this life that anyone else on the outside would say was pretty remarkable. I've traveled the world. I've worked for international organizations in my humanitarian career. I've been on every continent. I had a beautiful family, was married for 20 plus years, 2 great kids, a community, a home. All these things were there, and anyone on the outside would say, Andrew has it all together. He has it figured out. Whatever he grew up with, he dealt with, and he has built this great life. Well, the truth is that I hadn't dealt with it. It lingered inside of me. It was growing inside of me. It was churning inside of me, much like a volcano. You know, you look at a mountain, a volcano, and there's things going on inside that we can't see, but then one day, boom, it explodes all over everyone and everything and brings destruction with it. And that is probably a pretty good analogy of what happened in my life. About 4 years ago, 2016, is when the eruption happened, but many years before that, things were churning inside. And I was making decisions and doing things that were sabotaging my life. And I'll be honest, I don't remember a lot of those decisions. I was functioning in many times a disassociative state. However, I'm still responsible for those decisions, and the manifesting of those decisions, the result, I should say, was ultimately going through a separation and a divorce from my wife, losing everything, and I mean everything that matters: family, community, career, any sense of financial stability, and then even losing myself. And through losing myself, I ended up in an emergency room on one night in December of 2016 because I did not trust myself to make it through the night. I was going to hurt myself, and I remember being really afraid and somehow finding the wherewithal to drive to the ER. And 2 nights later, I found myself in a trauma treatment center in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I would spend the next 35 days scraping my soul and coming to terms with the diagnosis of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and a recognition that indeed the things that I had grown up with that were inside of me had not been dealt with. In fact, they were dealing with me. That is a truth with trauma, is if we don't deal with it, it will deal with us sooner or later. The body indeed does keep the score. And I was being taught, it was being revealed to me that though I had this long life of success, if you will, what I really had was a lot of coping mechanisms that were undermining who I was and undermining the stability I had around me, and certainly hurting people around me deeply. See, that's the truth, right? Hurt people, damaged people, damage people. And I hurt people. I damaged other people through my own acting out. And in that facility, in that center, I had to come to terms with the fact that even though there are things that happened to me that were not my fault, it was my responsibility because I was hurting other people in addition to hurting myself. And so I dove in because I didn't want to hurt people anymore. I didn't want to damage the people that were closest to me. So I came out full of a lot of information, but not a lot of wisdom. And I dove in and am still 4 or 5 years later, whatever it is, in constant, weekly therapy, working on myself, working on the daily grind, the things that we go through, the ups and the downs. Life has not been easy since then. It's not like I went away and figured some things out and came out and everything has been smooth sailing. No, it has been difficult work, effort every day to use the tools that I have been exposed to manage the anxiety and the depression and the panic attacks and the trauma that still stirs within me a lot. It just does. I don't like the fact that I have to live with a chronic condition called CPTSD. I will have this for the rest of my life. However, I am grateful for the fact that this story gives me, if you will, a bit of a platform to say, hey, for those of you that might be struggling with childhood trauma, with things in your past that you don't know what to do with, or something might be gnawing at you that man, things just aren't right, or you see your relationships, especially your romantic relationships or your parenting relationships, being not what they should be, and you're not quite sure why, there is hope. And there is help, and there are new healing modalities out there that can transform our brain and help us heal from things that were done to us, and yes, even things we've done to ourselves. That is our work here at A Way Through, is to say, hey, put your head down, find a way through, and let us help you find that way through. Listen, 2020 has been a tough year on everyone, no doubt, with COVID and whatnot. And I talk to people a lot who have gone through all kinds of other things as well. Deep hurt, deep loss. And it has brought to the surface, I think, in many of us, some of these issues that we need to deal with. And I hope as we slowly return to whatever we call normal out there, that normalcy will be a recognition that struggling with mental wellness and emotional wellness is not an out there thing, is not something that we should judge. Just like we go to the gym, we should be going to therapy. Just like we eat right, we should be putting positive and strengthening things into our minds and our bodies. And that's what we're about here at A Way Through, is challenging that stigma through our own storytelling and then connecting people with the resources that are out there that they can access. And that's what we're trying to build here. Listen, my story is not unique. It feels unique sometimes. I'll be sitting alone. Even just this morning, I woke up in a state of wow, I'm really alone in this story, but I know better than that. I'm not alone. So many of you and so many of us struggle with the darkness, if you will, but there is light. We work here at A Way Through to 3 core values. One is courageous honesty through telling our story. The other is relentless hope that we hold on to on a daily basis. And to be honest, I'm forgetting the third. It's a core value. I should know it right off the top of my head, but I'll come back to it. Listen, thank you for listening. Thank you for connecting. We're going to give you an opportunity to share your story as well soon on our website if you want to. But let's get through this stuff, right? Let's hold on to each other and get through this together, because the only way through is through, and the only way through really is together.